Hey guys, good afternoon. Joe here, the Joe Madden Sports Podcast. Joined this afternoon by David Bearman, Deputy Editor of Sports Betting at ESPN. David, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me, and thanks for moving stuff around for me. Just got off a flight, and now I'm here doing the show, and happy to be here.
You are definitely a busy person, so thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to be here for the show today. We're going to talk the U.S. Open. It's kicking off right away here tomorrow. What are your thoughts on this, David?
It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. The U.S. Open is always one of my favorite tournaments because it has that toughness that you're as a golfer who goes out there and tries to emulate the pros and is nowhere close to that. To watch the pros emulating me while they're struggling, that's quite fun to watch. It's going to be a tough course. This is different than some of the other U.S. Opens that are normally known for their length and difficulty of playing. This is going to be just as difficult, but for a different reason. It's a shorter course. It's sort of like Pebble Beach in its shortness, but it's very, very tough. You can't really miss off the fairways where the rough is extremely thick. A lot of fescue, like the British Open type courses. Greens are the smallest these guys will ever see. Very undulating and tough to hit. So like some of these other tough courses, and you and I have talked about this on shows before, you need to be accurate off the tee. You need to be awesomely accurate on approach, and you need to get up and down and have a good short game, because these guys are not going to hit a lot of greens, small, undulating. So you got to get on. You got to be able to have good short game. All around games are very important. And there are some courses where the bombers can just hit it out there and do whatever. Bryson did that at a U.S. Open in New York a few years ago and won. And other courses that you have to do course management, like Augusta and others. Yeah. This is all of that combined. What I think is very appealing here is not many people have seen this course. And those that have played it, look at Matt Fitzpatrick winning a U.S. Amateur there about a decade ago in 2013. And others who have played over time, they're not playing the same course. This is a country club that has 27 holes, and they're mixing and matching. One of the holes, which is going to be fascinating, it's a short par 3, 11th hole downhill, where if you miss, you're screwed. You have to hit the green or you're in trouble. That hole hasn't been used since the early 1900s. So wow. A lot of history being done here. This is one of the oldest courses in America. It's one of the original TPC courses. And it's going to be a great atmosphere and a lot of fun. And, the usual suspects, the Rory McIlroys, Justin Thomas, you saw them both competing down the stretch in Canada. They're going to be in play. Xander Schauffele, who's always a good U.S. Open player, will be in play. So, Scotty Scheffler, it's not going to surprise you, the guys I like, because those are the guys that are the best at the game, and those are the guys that are going to show up and play. It'd be very, very shocking to me to have an outsider. When I say outsider, a guy out of the top 30 or 40 in the world that doesn't have a great all-around game winning this. So I expect it to be either one of the old guard major winners or a guy who hasn't won a major but has been close a couple of times, like a Matt Fitzpatrick or Willie Zalatoris, who almost won the last major. So this is going to be a very fun event, and don't expect a lot of good scores. I'm handicapping that the winning score is going to be in the very low to -1, -2, and you won't see many players under par either.
Yeah, this is going to be a tight, hard course for these players. Now, before we get into your top 10, how do you think Jon Rahm is going to do here, the defending champion?
I think John will be good. He's number 2 in the world. He's one of the best players out there. This is not the perfect course for him because it's tough to get around, and John has that temperament where if he misses one here or there, he gets very frustrated and it goes upstairs. Yeah. Torrey Pines was a different situation. It's a course he had played a lot. It's a course he got married at. It's a course he was very familiar with, that he had won at before, and that's where he won last year. And he knows the course and knows where to miss. This is different. This is a course where if you do miss and you don't miss in the right spot, you're in a lot of trouble. I'm not saying you can't win. Jon Rahm's one of the best players in the world for a reason. And after his speech yesterday about the Live Tour, I'm a bigger fan of Jon Rahm than I was before. But there are other guys that I'm playing that I think are better suited for this course. Tee to green type players. I know Colin Morikawa has struggled recently. He's not playing at the top of his game. But if I were to pick one golfer and one course that are married, it would be Colin Morikawa to the country club in Boston, just because, there's a lot of blind shots. There's no one better at blind shots than Morikawa. There's a lot of tight, you got to get it in the right location. There's no one better at pin seeking than Colin Morikawa. My only worry with him is he's just not in good form right now. He's not playing well. And if you're not playing well, this is not the course you want to play. But if by tomorrow he finds his game, he absolutely could win his third major. And he has proven before his weakness is putting. And this is a course you can get away with it. As long as you're on the green, which is going to be the difficult part, Putting is secondary or third in terms of importance, and he can find his putting stroke, which he's done before, to win 2 majors. Not my top play. I'm actually taking Morikawa just as a top 10 and a top 20, and I may sprinkle him to win, especially if his odds increase over the weekend. But it's the type of course that fits him better than it would Jon Rahm.
Okay, so is there any sleepers that you're looking at to fall into that top 10 or top 20, David?
I'm going to throw one out there that might surprise you and might surprise some people. He's obviously a very well-known golfer who has won majors before and shouldn't be a surprise, but based on recent circumstances and the way he's been playing, I think Dustin Johnson just can be a good play this week. By the way, the course fits him well. He does very well on Northeast courses, having won at Oakmont in Pennsylvania, which is not as tough as this one, but it is similar to it and has played as tough as this one. He's won at the Travelers, which is in our backyard in Connecticut. He's won in the Northern Trust, a different course in Boston. So he has played well in this type of environment, already won a U.S. Open, won a Masters, not playing well. Obviously, a lot of controversy surrounding Dustin, but when Dustin has his A game, he's one of the most accurate long hitters. Now, people can hit long and people can accurate. He's one of the more accurate long hitters, strong iron game, great short game. He's someone who could absolutely destroy this course. He's not playing well. He's actually playing worse than Collin Morikawa. We saw him in the Live Tour last week where he was the best player on the course and he did terrible. So Dustin's having issues with his game, but with his A game, with his style of play, and little chip on his shoulder from all the negative press that's been going on, it's a pretty good heel story. Like, it's one of those, if Dustin Johnson is near the top of the leaderboard on Sunday, think about the ramifications of a guy who was just banned from the PGA Tour, turned heel and went to the Live Tour when you know Dustin doesn't need $400 million. But taking all that aside, from a pure handicapping point of view, getting 4-1 is what I'm getting for a top 10 finish. And by the way, he's 40-1 to win. You never get Dustin Johnson 40. I mean, he was the favorite last week in Live, and he was among the favorites at the Masters. But you're getting the former number 1 player in the world at 40-1. It's worth the sprinkle. Now, when he goes out and goes 76, 77 and miss the cut, you're going to be like, why did Bearman tell me to take? Listen, Dustin Johnson is not playing well. But preface that right now. If Dustin Johnson plays well, he'd absolutely win on this course. So that's a sneaky, can't believe I'm saying long shot, but you don't get Dustin Johnson at 40-1 very often. And sometimes the price will dictate the play. Collin Morikawa is 34-1. He has no business being 34-1. This guy's a 2-time major champion who's perfect for this course. A lot of those odds are based on current form, which is important. Don't get me wrong. If Johnson and Morikawa go out there and shoot like crap, this is going to be a really bad course for them. But when they're on their game, this is a very good course.
Definitely worth a sprinkle for both of those guys to be on their game for sure, David. Now, you brought up the Live. We have to touch on it. Things are going crazy in the golf world. What are your thoughts on all of this?
I think it's just extremely unfortunate, as a fan of the game and a fan of the PGA Tour, to see, another tour pops up. It's supposed to be to help the PGA Tour. You've seen all the different football leagues that have popped up that have actually helped the NFL and have helped grow the game. This is doing the exact opposite. There's, competition to help each side is good, but look at the way the European Tour and the PGA Tour have been competing tours, but brothers for the longest time, where they just, they're there. They're 2 different tours because different sides of the country. What bothers me about this is and to quote the PGA Tour commissioner and Rory McIlroy and others, to me, it's not real golf. What I like to handicap golf and like I to watch golf is these guys have to earn what they get. They have to make the cut or they don't get paid, and they have to do well to be able to get paid. I mean, the money is the money, but the better you do, the more you get paid. That's what makes golf so fun to watch and so fun to handicap and bet on. The Live Tour has none of that. Guaranteed appearance fees, guaranteed money, no cut, shotgun start, which is great for my local tournament next week, but not for an event. And so it bothers me that it's not, if they want to have a competing tour to change the game, then go ahead and get a competing tour to change the game. But you're not changing the game by guaranteeing people money, so they don't care whether they do well or not. And the money is absurd. And the problem the PGA Tour is running into is no matter how good they are, no matter how straight and on the arrow they are, they can't compete with the fact that a guy no one ever heard of just won $2.8 million last week. So
absolutely.
even though I'm not advocating for it and I don't want to have anything to do with the Saudi money and all that stuff, if I'm the 126th player in the world or 126 on the PGA FedEx Cup, which again, only 125, keep your card, and I'm a struggling golfer who week in and week out is struggling to make the cut to cash the $24,000 check when it cost me 15 grand to get there. I don't blame them for going to the Live Tour and getting, here's $3 million just for showing up.
Yeah.
But the game should be more about guaranteed paydays. And every other sport that we follow and watch, you have to earn it. Like the NFL is non-guaranteed contracts for the most part. Yeah, the stars get their guaranteed $70-80 million, but they've earned it. But an average NFL player doesn't perform well is going to get cut and not get their money. This is taking it in a wrong direction, and they're so against each other that nothing good can come of it, and they're stealing the best players in golf. And I enjoy watching Dustin Johnson, and as much of a pain in the ass Bryson DeChambeau might be, I enjoy watching Bryson. And they're taking that away from us because, I mean, they're playing 6 events. Like, they're not playing 36 of them. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, but I personally think it's unfortunate for golf fans to see it. And I had a lot of friends who were like, oh, another golf event in a different time zone that I can watch with all these big players. I watched it. It was garbage. It was not a true competition. The broadcast was just not good, and it was not fun golf. And that's disappointing because I watch European golf. I'll watch other events, but it has to be fun, and it just wasn't.
It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard next couple years to see exactly how things play out with this, because we know the players will be able to come back for the majors as of right now. If that changes is another question mark. But from what I'm hearing from you, we're going to get a watered down effect in the live players. David, is that correct?
Yeah, it's going to be watered down, and that's unfortunate. Now the PGA Tour is strong and guaranteed purses and guaranteed sponsorships. They've been doing this for hundreds of years, so it's not going to disappear. But I don't want to have a PGA Tour event without Dustin Johnson, without Patrick Reed, without Bryson DeChambeau, without Louis Oosthuizen, and those are good players that the tour will be missing. That being said, they're grown men, their families, they make their own decisions. It's unfortunate. I think everything John Rahm and Rory McIlroy said over the last 24 to 48 hours is what I'm thinking, that, they're taking the easy way out and they're going for the dollar. And, I don't know everybody's situation, but when I hear a guy who's worth $200 million tell me he's doing it to set up his family, I'm like, really? Because John Rahm's wife said they didn't need the $400 million, but, it's a lot of money, and we're all in the world and thinking about businesses and startups and stuff. And what the Live Tour is doing isn't a true business. Like, that business model is not, they're just they're burning money.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
That's what they're doing. So,
well, it's going to be interesting, David. Thank you for giving us your thoughts on it. Can you let us know where everyone can follow you on socials and everything that you have going on at ESPN?
Sure. At Bearman ESPN is where I am on Twitter. ESPN.com/chalk is where all our content is. Our PGA picks are out this morning, and I know I didn't mention it on the show because we were talking a little bit about long shots, but my pick to win is Justin Thomas. It's in the article right there on ESPN.com chalk. Also gave away the DJ and Morikawa top 10s. Other guys I like Shane Lowry. I took Shane Lowry 2 weeks ago when I had one of those free bets I needed to use, and last time I did that 2 weeks before a major, it was on Justin Thomas at the PGA, and he won. So if you're following patterns, Shane Lowry was the first guy I played 3 weeks ago on a bet to win. He's at 34-1, so I like him. I took Justin Thomas. Other guys I'm be playing is Sung J M and Cameron Young. I think Cameron Young is another long shot to play. It's going to be a fun event. Again, I don't expect anybody outside the top 25 or 30 to win this, but Cameron Young is one of those players that I think can compete this week.
Awesome. It's going to be great, David. All the best in all of your bets and with everything that you have going on. And thank you again for joining me here on the Joe Madden Sports Podcast.
Thanks, Joe. Talk to you again soon.
Thank you. Talk to you soon, David. Goodbye.